Hello and welcome to the Food Lab, where we try it before you buy it to save your diet. Today, I'm going to do a special episode. Instead of my normal MO is to try something. But today, I'm going to try and make something. I'm going to try and make rice pudding. Indian-style rice pudding. I particularly like Indian food. I don't eat as much as I really would like to, but there's an Indian buffet that we sometimes eat at work, and one of my very favorite things is the rice pudding, or as the Indian word for it is, I believe, pronounced kheer. Not exactly sure. I'm not good with it. I downloaded a recipe online. I found one. I'm going to modify it a little bit based on what I've seen with other recipes, and because there's some things in it that I don't particularly like for, and I'm also kind of cheap. So really the ingredients are butter, basmati rice, milk, whole milk, coconut milk, vanilla extract, this is one of the things that I'm adding in, and plain old white sugar. Some of the other things that really they typically call for are the cardamom, which a jar of it was $12, and I'm not made out of money here, people. Same thing with saffron. That's another thing that a lot of the recipes seem to include. And again, saffron's really expensive, so this is my first time doing this. I'm not going to bust out with the expensive ingredients yet. And then there's also raisins, which I don't really like raisins in baked goods or in any kind of cooked thing. Raisins are best yogurt or chocolate covered. And then sliced almonds and pistachios, they call for in some cases, but I'm not really into putting nuts in it. The stuff that I'm used to having is just pretty much just the rice pudding with nice, thickened, served chilled. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to move the camera here so we can take a better look at what I'm doing in my saucepan here. And so the first thing that they want you to do, according to some of the recipes, is to just sort of toast the rice a bit in your pan. So I'm going to add with butter. So I'm going to add some butter here. The other way that you can do this is with ghee or clarified butter, but that's another thing, another step that I'm just not going to do. So here I've rinsed the rice off, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. And this is only supposed to take a minute or two, so get some action shots so you guys can check out the pure, unadulterated excitement of lightly toasting rice. Check that out. That's some hot rice action going on right there. So now that the rice is nice and toasted slightly there, and the butter seems to be pretty much absorbed, I'm going to add the milk. Bring the heat up a little bit, stirring this. Don't want to, you got to be careful. You got to keep stirring really when you're doing stuff with milk, because you don't want it to burn or coagulate on you. That's a bad thing. And then the coconut milk. Strictly speaking, the recipe actually calls for 16 ounces of coconut milk, but they're sold in 13.5 ounce cans. I figure I'm probably going to be safe. The big task at hand now is reducing this down, and that's going to take about, according to the recipes, about 20 minutes. You got to bring this to a boil and then reduce it down. So that's what we're in the process of doing right now. We'll get some nice shots of this boiling over for you too. Hopefully not boiling over. Hopefully not boiling over. Hopefully boiling nicely and calmly. So as you can see, we have a tamed boilage. It's a little bit more than I want it to be boiling right now. I'm gonna turn down the heat some so that we don't burn it, so that it doesn't get too much going on there. One of the notes that I want to make, if you were doing this with the proper spices, you'd probably want to do that, add those before this stage, simply because then it gives the flavors time to come out. The vanilla, however, don't want to add that in until we're nice and cooked, because if we don't, it's just going to evaporate away, because vanilla extract is mostly alcohol. So got this going here now. So it's going to be, according to most of these recipes, about 20 or so minutes. So hold on tight and we'll be back. Since we're at the boiling stage, I'm going to go ahead and add the sugar at this point too. Different recipes tell you to add it at different times. I'm just going to go ahead and add it now. You really need to do it when the mixture is warm so that you're sure the sugar all dissolves into it. So depends on when you want to add it. Personal preference. I don't really think it matters. It's sugar. It's not like you can really burn sugar unless that's the only thing you have cooking. So that's that. Hey, and we're back, and actually it's done quicker than the 20 minutes. You can see how nice and thick that is, and really it smells pretty darn good in here from the coconut milk. You can see the rice still has some structure to it. It's still got some chewiness to it. It's not completely mush, which is, you know, the ideal situation to not have mush, really. You want some substance to your rice pudding. So I'm going to take this off the heat. Let it cool down for a second in the pan here. Then I'm going to put it in a container and stick it in the fridge for a couple hours, and then hopefully give this stuff a try, and with any luck, it'll be good. Actually, one thing I'm forgetting to do, now that it's off the heat and cooled down a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and add I have a teaspoon of vanilla extract here. I'm going to guess that that's probably going to be enough. Just going to mix that in there thusly. So, yeah, going to cool this down for a little bit, stick it in the fridge, and hopefully it'll be delicious. It's been about 2 hours since I put the rice pudding in the good old fridge here. Should be nice and cool, or at least cooled off enough to where we can enjoy it. So I'm going to pop this open and see what we got. So I have it in the lovely reused container here. Let's take a look here. Have the safety glasses on, it's very important. Smells pretty good. It's perhaps a little bit, it's not quite as watery as I was expecting it to be. I'm going to actually mix it up a little bit before we dig into it. I think I might have let it go a little bit too long in the cooking process, and I should have probably pulled it a little bit earlier. But I'll dole some of this out, and we'll take a look at it and give it a try. This is a lot thicker than I was expecting it to be. I'm not sure how I'm going to manage this one. Over on the counter. This stuff turned out a lot thicker than I was really expecting it to. I think I probably should have, like I said, not cooked it so long. I think it's really just due to the fact of, again, cooking it for too long. It looks pretty good. It smells really good too. Personally, I'm used to something a little bit thinner than this, so next time I make this, I'm probably not going to cook it for as long. Maybe actually use more liquid too, like the amount of liquid that the recipe actually called for. I was short by about 6.5 ounces, I think. I'm not sure how big a difference that could make, but you never know. I'm no chef. I just cook. Bottoms up. We have a winner here. There's still got a little temperature to it. This is quite enjoyable. It's thicker, like I said, than I'm used to. But it's quite delicious. It's the rice. The rice is right. It's got that chewiness to it that you need. Otherwise, it don't want it to completely fall apart and be mush. It has a nice. I think letting it sit probably helped the rice restructure itself a bit, and the starches to gelatinize. And it was. I kind of want to try it with the other seasonings or other spices in it. It's got a good flavor to it. It has that coconut milk sort of flavor to it. If you've never had coconut milk, it doesn't have a strong coconut flavor, but it does have a nice flavor to it. This is pretty good. You get a lot of that. I don't think the vanilla added that much, although vanilla is a good flavor. Doesn't tend to overpower anything else. It's the right amount of sweetness. It's not too sweet. I think this is a winner. I mean, I think in the future I might do some more experimenting with it as far as putting some other kind of spices in it. I might give in and buy some of the cardamom in the future, just to see what that adds to it. Maybe one day, one very special day, some saffron. But that's it for now. One last bite with it. And always remember, when trying new foods, when trying to make new foods, there is no more important safety rule than to wear these safety glasses.